Hi there guys, welcome back to Beyond the Cow. You've got Sammy here for Unit 1, Week 12, crochet stitch pattern number 6, which is a gorgeous special puff stitch. Now, this is quite a large pattern with regard to row repeats. So, if you're doing a standalone stitch, try again. So we're doing a standalone stitch, calls for multiples of 18 plus 2. So 18, 36, and so on. So that is 18 plus 2 if you are doing a standalone stitch. I'm actually working into my blanket. So I've just done a row of single crochet first up. That's to check my stitch count, which is still at 240. Now, there are adjustments that are provided in the pattern for the recommended 120 or 240. And I'll walk you through them as we go, because that's what I'm working at. If you're looking for another number, please just comment on the pattern post and someone will help you as soon as they can. So after you've done your row of single crochet, I've made sure I'm at 240 stitch count. I'm going to do a chain 1, which doesn't count as a stitch. In the same stitch, I'm going to pop a single crochet in the back loop only. Single crochet in the back loop only. I'm going to do that all the way across the row, and then we'll be looking at the back of our blanket. So I'm going to work across again with a single crochet in back loops only. So we're doing 2 rows of back loop only single crochet. So you can see, working the back loop, we get that nice ridge happening, adding some additional texture to this gorgeous stitch. Work those 2 rows of back loop single crochet, and I'll meet you back here so that we can move on with row 3 of our pattern. See you all soon. Okay guys, we're back. Done those 2 rows of back loop only single crochet. Ooh, sorry, Clary. Adding some nice texture there on top of my row of standard single crochet, and ready for row 3 of the pattern. Now, starting out the row is dependent on how many stitches across you're working with. So I'm working on a blanket that is 240 stitches across. So I'm going to back loop single crochet into the first 8 stitches. Now, if your blanket is 120, or you're working this as a standalone stitch, you will back loop single crochet into the first 5 stitches. So 8 for 240, 5 for 120, or a standalone crochet, a standalone stitch. Where am I up to? 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now we're going to repeat this next part of the pattern all the way to the end of our blanket. So we're chaining 2, skipping 6 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th stitch, double crochet, chain 1 7 times. Two, crochet and chain 1, 6, 7, all with a double crochet and a chain 1. I'm going to chain 1 again. You can see the stitches flattened out a lot there from what it was originally. Now we're going to skip 6 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th stitch. We do a back loop single crochet and into the next 4. So there'll be 5 back loop single crochet all together. So we're going to repeat that for 5. I'm going to repeat that all the way across. So chain 2, skip 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th stitch, we work a double crochet, chain 1 till we have 7. So 7 double crochet, chain 1, all into the same chain space. Then we chain another 1, skip 6, and put our 5 back loop single crochet. So we'll have that sort of pattern happening. I'm going to let you guys work out row 3. Now at the end you're going to be a little bit short on stitches. If you're working on a blanket that is 240, you're going to back loop single crochet into the next 4 stitches. If it's 120, it's just the last stitch, and if this is a standalone stitch for you, it will be the last stitch. Work row 3 and I'll see you soon. Okay, lovely people, we're back. We finished row 3, so we've got these big fans, chain 2 spaces and back loop single crochet between them. We're ready to move on to row 4 and start adding some texture to this stitch, yeah, I was right. Add some texture to this stitch with our puffs. So, finished my row with back loop single crochet. Chaining 1 doesn't count as a stitch, and then we are going to back loop single crochet into the first 5 or 8 stitches, depending what our stitch count is. So for 240 it's 5, for 120 it's 8, for a straight stitch that you're not adding to your blanket, it will be 8. So back loop single crochet, 2, 3, 4, 5, that takes us to our chain space. You're going to chain 2, we're going to skip the chain 2 and the first double crochet. Into the first chain 1 space we are going to work a puff stitch. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook, pull up a loop, and do that 4 times. Yarn over, insert our hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert our hook, pull up a loop, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Once more, yarn over, insert our hook, pull up a loop, and yarn over, pull through 8 hooks, so there'll be 8 loops rather, so there'll be 2 left on our hook, yarn over and pull through the last 2. Chain 1, repeat in the next chain 1 space. So yarn over, insert our hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert our hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert our hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert our hook, pull up a loop. Got 9 loops on our hook, yarning over, pulling through 8, yarning over, pulling through the last 2, chaining 1, and moving on to the next puff stitch. So we'll do that 6 times. So we'll have 6 puffs in our fan. There's the word I was looking for. I'm just going to quickly work them. 2, 3, 4, yarn over, pull through 8. You'll notice I'm kind of pulling my hook up as I accumulate those loops, and that's just so that they're not too tight and it's not too hard to get my hook through them all. So we're halfway there with 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, yarn over through 8, yarn over through 2, chain 1 and repeat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 puffs. Last one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now we've finished doing our puffs, so we're going to skip the last double crochet, the chain 2 space and the first single crochet, and we're going to back loop crochet into the next 3 stitches if we've worked 5 on the previous round, or 5 if we worked 8. So 3 stitches if you're working on a blanket that's 240 wide, 5 if you're working on one that is 120, or a straight stitch. From there, we repeat our pattern. So we skip the next single crochet, the chain 2 and the first double crochet, and we begin working, that's right. Chain 2 to come out of our back loop single crochet, and then begin working puffs into the first chain 1 space. That's a double crochet. Okay, so we're repeating that pattern. If you want to follow along with the video, it is textured on both sides, so don't worry if you're looking at the back. Go back around 6 minutes, otherwise I'll let you finish out this row and I'll meet you back here for row 5. Okay guys, row 4 completed. We got our first row of puffs. Now it's textured on both sides. You can push it to the front or the back, whichever you prefer. It's going to stay puffy either way. It's really very cute and happy. I love it. So let's look at some black screen. Let's get on to getting rid of that glare and row number 5. So chaining 1 doesn't count as a stitch for this pattern, remember? We're going to back loop, single crochet in the back loop only in the first 7 stitches or 4 stitches, depending what your stitch count is. We're going to be popping a back loop only, single crochet in each stitch to get us to our chain 2. So for me that's 7. chain 2, we're going to pop 2 single crochets into the chain 2 space. We're going to be repeating this pattern all the way across from here. So 2 single crochets in the chain 2 space, a single crochet into the puff stitch, I think I got the wrong part. Yes, I did. A single crochet into the puff stitch, a single crochet into the chain 1, single crochet into the puff stitch, single crochet into the chain 1, single crochet into the puff stitch, and chain 1. So we're getting a nice solid edge for the next row over our gorgeous puff stitch. So we're going to continue popping a single crochet into each puff and each chain space. They're just standard single crochet for this part of the pattern. Okay, now we're at our chain 2. We're going to put 2 single crochet into the chain 2 space, and then back loop only single crochet across the single crochet stitches from the previous round. We repeat again. So 2 single crochet into the chain 2 space, then we're putting a single crochet into each puff and each chain 1 space. We're going to repeat that all the way across, finishing off our row with back loop only single crochet into the back loop only single crochet from the previous round. I'll meet you back here for row 6. We're halfway there. Okay, once we've finished row 5 with all those single crochet and back loop only single crochet to frame our stitch, row 6 and row 7 are both back loop only single crochet for the entire row. So we're just putting a stitch in each stitch, so we're going to have a nice ribbed, because it's back loop only, textured gap between our next row of offset puff stitches. So row 6 and row 7 are both rows entirely of back loop only single crochet, as is row 8. So 3 rows of back loop only single crochet. I'll meet you back here for row 9, where we'll be offsetting our puff stitches to finish the last few rows of this pattern. See you soon. Okay, we're back. We finished row 8, which was our 3rd row of back loop single crochet. Working on row 9 now to do our offsets. Some chained 1, just back loop single crochet into the next 5 stitches. Then we're going to double crochet into the next stitch, chain 1, and we're going to put 4 double crochet chain 1s in there. So that's 2, 3, 4, another chain 1, I'm going to readjust my blanket a little bit there so it stops falling off the desk. Okay, now we're going to skip 6 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, back loop only, single crochet into the next 5. So those 5 are across the peak of the fans in our last row. Now we're going to repeat this next section all the way across. So after our, that's including our 5 back loop single crochet, we're going to repeat it to the last 4 or 7 stitches depending what size blanket you're working. So from the back loop single crochet, we're going to chain 2. You're going to skip 6 stitches, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th stitch, which will be the center between the fans in our last row. We're going to work 7 double crochet chain 1s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Then we're going to add a second chain, skip 6 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th stitch is where we start our set of 5 back loop single crochet. Four, 5. We repeat that pattern all the way across to the last 4 stitches. In the 7th stitch, which should be the 4th stitch from the end, we're going to double crochet chain 1 3 times and then add a 4th double crochet into the same space. Then back loop only single crochet in the last 3 or 6 stitches depending how long your blanket is and what your stitch count is. So I'll let you guys finish out row 9. I'll meet you back here for row 10. Okay, we've got our little fans and half fans happening onto row 10. So chaining 1, then back loop single crochet in to the first 3 or 6 stitches depending how many you did on that last row. Chain 1, skipping the first double crochet, inserting a puff into the 3 spaces, because this is a partial. 1, what am I doing? Puff stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, through 8 of the 9 loops on our hook. Through the last 2, chain 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Last puff. Through 8, yarn over through the last 2, chain 1. Now we're going to do another chain 1. We're going to skip the last double crochet. the chain 2 space and the first single crochet, going to back loop only, single crochet into the next 3 stitches, and repeat this pattern all the way across. So chain 2, skip the last single crochet, the chain space and the first double, and work our puffs into the spaces. At the end we skip the last double, the chain 2 and the first single crochet. So it's offset, but it is a repeat of our last puff row. I'm going to let you guys work the rest of that row. I'll meet you back here for row 11. We're nearly there. Okay, we've done our row of offset puffs. Beautiful, beautiful stitch. This one. So we need to do our rows of single crochet and back loop, single crochet before we do a repeat. So chain 1, going to back loop, single crochet into the top of the back loop, single crochets from previous row. Okay, then we're working 2 single crochet into the chain 2 space, a single crochet into the puff, single crochet into the chain 1, that's in each puff and each chain 1, and then a chain 2 gets 2 single crochet. So nice and easy for row 11. Now the last 3 rows of this pattern repeat are back loop, single crochet again. So once you finish this row of single crochet, you've got 3 rows of back loop only, single crochet all the way across. The finish, you'll have 14 rows. Now to do a complete pattern repeat, you'll be repeating rows 2 to 13. If you're using this as your temperature blanket, you can of course spread your repeat over a couple of days because it is a rather large one, particularly if you're working on a larger size lap blanket. I hope you've really enjoyed learning this stitch. I love it. I think it's gorgeous and worthy of a blanket all on its own. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Have a fantastic day, and until next time, happy hooking.